Hello, thank you for taking time out. This video is on the Nakshatra Purva Ashadha, and as per mythology, it's ruled by goddess Apah. She is the goddess of water, the water element of nature. So I'll be sharing the mythology linked to her first, and later we'll be going through how different planets behave in this nakshatra. If we start from the story of the origin of the creation, it talks about the presence of cosmic waters. So right at the beginning, there was nothing but water. This gives us an idea of goddess Apah's powers. She is behind everything that's created, and for that reason, in my view, Venus, the planet of creation, is ruling this nakshatra. From the cosmic waters was born Lord Brahma, and from them all the other gods and the entire creation was created. Apart from the creative aspect linked to goddess Apah, the water element that she governs has a purifying and nourishing impact on our life. I remember reading it in the Bhagavad Gita that water is behind the production of food. So water is behind our survival. So the nourishing aspect is very important. Not only that, the purifying aspect too. And purification doesn't necessarily mean cleaning our bodies. Purification can also be on a mental plane and even on a spiritual plane, where we get rid of delusions, we get rid of false understanding of things. It's an opportune time for me to mention that this nakshatra is also overseen by goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge. And this nakshatra falls in the sign ruled by Jupiter. So Venus is the nakshatra ruler and Jupiter is the sign ruler. This is the only nakshatra which has the influence of Venus and Jupiter together. And both Venus and Jupiter belong to the caste of a Brahmin, the learned class. Goddess Saraswati, Venus, Jupiter, together they are telling us something, that this nakshatra is all about purifying our minds through the gift of knowledge. This is one of the most important aspects of this nakshatra. If you go back to the nourishing aspect, this illustration explains how water is behind the growth of plants. Water sustains our body. Human beings and animals survive in water. Without water, we cannot survive. You would have also seen pictures of people visiting Thailand, taking a bath under holy waters, or in India, people take a dip in the holy river, thinking that not only is this water purifying, cleaning their body, it's also cleansing them of their sins. That's the understanding. That's the purifying aspect. Not only is water nourishing, it's also purifying. And when water flows uncontrollably, it destroys everything at sight. So there's a strong, fierce side attached to this nakshatra, which I'll be sharing later. Let's go back to the purifying aspect, as that's such an important aspect of Purva Ashadha. This is further depicted by a winnowing basket, which is considered one of the main symbols of Purva Ashadha. The basket is used to separate wheat from chaff. So everything around you which requires filtering, distillation, purification, detoxification, extraction, all of them are linked to Purva Ashadha. So the entire oil and gas sector, which requires extraction and refining, or the production of alcohol, which requires distillation, the entire dry cleaning business or cleaning business of any kind, are all directly linked to Purva Ashadha. And in the business sector, data analytics, data analysts, they purify data. arriving at logical conclusions, insights. That too is directly linked to Purva Ashadha. To highlight the purification aspect of this nakshatra, I'd like to share an excellent example, and that's of Louis Pasteur. He is behind the methodology behind pasteurization of milk. At some stage of your life, I'm sure you've seen how milk is boiled to make sure bacteria is eliminated. So you're making it fit for consumption, you're purifying water. Louis Pasteur in his chart has Sun and Venus in Purva Ashadha. Isn't he a great example? His life's work actually is a great example of what Purva Ashadha is all about. So all professions somehow linked to water. An individual can be a marine biologist or someone involved in cleaning the river water. The ones working in merchant navy, others working as an oceanographer, others working in the shipping industry. I'd also associate the ones interested in water sports or the ones who teach water sports, like surfing. Within medical science, the ones who specialize in water-based births. I'd earlier mentioned this nakshatra has a fierce side, as when water flows, it flows uncontrollably. And that would also be part of the native's character. The native would be an adventure seeker, very risk inclined, and such behavior would stem from an inherent belief the native would have to overcome any difficulty. The native would inherently be very optimistic, and therefore the native may aim for the sky, may have goals which may appear to be impractical or unreachable. And due to this, the native would have many experiences to share, and that can even translate to the native being an educator, a motivator. I'd earlier mentioned this nakshatra has the rulership of Venus and Jupiter, both of them belonging to the caste of a Brahmin. So the native could be actively involved in sharing one's knowledge and experiences, like a TED Talk speaker. This nakshatra, therefore, has the nature belonging to Ugra, which translates to fierce, and that stems from the exuberance. The native would exude confidence and optimism and would face challenges head on. The native would inherently believe, I can overcome any challenge, I can even defeat one's enemies. That is the Ugra fierce side. And an infamous example is of Adolf Hitler. In his chart I found Moon and Jupiter in Purva Ashadha. See, I'm highlighting the exuberance, the optimism, and the single-mindedness and the just do it attitude with his example. You must keep in view in his example there are other planetary positions such as Mars and Venus, which occupy the nakshatra of Bharani. Bharani too belongs to the same nature, Ugra. Incidentally, in his chart, Mars and Venus are also in a planetary war. Furthermore, he has Saturn in Ashlesha, so the entire chart has to be read. What can be learned from his chart is that perhaps he had this optimistic view that his plans are going to succeed, given Moon and Jupiter's position in Purva Ashadha. This nakshatra, it wouldn't be of any surprise to you, belongs to the caste of a Brahmin. So all professions that require using one's knowledge to motivate people. The native would be excellent at motivating others, energizing others. Furthermore, the Guna is Rajasic, and therefore this nakshatra is all about achieving things of the world. And lastly, the Gana belongs to Manushya, the temperament belonging to a human being. So as human beings, we are all chasing something. Others are chasing money, some are chasing fame, some are chasing positions of authority, So this nakshatra is about doing things and achieving things in this world. I started the video sharing with you that goddess Apah is the goddess of the water element of the nature, and at the beginning of the creation, the universe was nothing but a sea of cosmic water. So this nakshatra has a very strong creative side, and that I can see in the chart of Walt Disney. He pioneered various characters we enjoy even till today. In his chart I find 3 planets placed in Purva Ashadha. So if you have your rising as Purva Ashadha, think you'll be inherently very optimistic. You'll take your chances. You'll be an adventure seeker. You'll be well educated, well informed, well traveled, and you'll carry a very attractive personality, as this nakshatra's ruler is Venus. And a good example is Giselle Bundchen. In her chart, I find her rising to be Purva Ashadha. A lot would also depend on the sign your rising falls in the Navamsha. So if it's the sign of Libra, which I find it to be in the case of Giselle, then the possibility of your personality shining through is very high. So you see, in her main chart, the rising is ruled by Venus. In the Navamsha too, Venus is ruling her first house. Furthermore, I think the person would naturally be very creative. If it's the sign of Leo, again, I think the person is likely to possess a very attractive personality. The native can also carry an aura of authority, like an individual who's considered to be an expert in adventure sports, or the native is respected for one's risk-taking ability. Recently, I came across a few videos where people would jump from a cliff using a wingsuit, nothing else. That is a very Purva Ashadha and a very Swati-like activity. So people would feel inspired by your risk-taking ability, and you may also inspire others with your perspective, your philosophical understanding of life. If it's the sign of Virgo, think the purification and analytical side of Purva Ashadha would be more visible in your character. This is a coming together of knowledge, optimism and intelligence, as Mercury is ruling the sign of Virgo. If it's the sign of Scorpio, again I think this extraction, distillation aspect of Purva Ashadha would be seen in your character. So this could lead to your future in research, or your character would be such that you look at things closely, you investigate everything. You'd still remain very adventurous, as this sign is ruled by Mars, but there's also a research side attached to your character. So where Venus is placed, where Jupiter is placed, and in which Pada does a planet in Purva Ashadha falls in the Navamsha, play an important part in explaining a planet's position in this nakshatra, but studying a planet's position in isolation in this nakshatra is a good start, so let's do that. When Moon is in Purva Ashadha, you'll have this inherent belief that anything is possible. So you will be a risk taker and sometimes may act without thinking. The mind races. You can be driven by the materialistic pleasures of life. Remember, this nakshatra belongs to the Guna of Rajasic, worldly. So one of the major downsides would be that you may act without thinking things through, impulsively. Moon in a Venus-ruled nakshatra, in my view, leads to a highly creative mind. So your ideas can be original or can inspire a chain reaction of some kind. You have come up with an idea, others have taken inspiration from it. Within medical science, think you could be an expert in detoxification therapies, or may generally have an influence on people where you cleanse their thinking. Think you'll have the ability to calm flared emotions. Think from life experience, you would have learned how impulsive behavior can be very wrong, and that lessons learned you might share with others. So when you see others overreacting, acting impulsively, from life experience, you might be able to help them. So you can be in some ways a motivator of some kind. Think you'll have a single-minded attitude when it comes to achieving things of the world. Think the greatest teacher in your life would be life itself. The adventures you embark on, the chances of risks that you've taken might teach you some lessons. So life can be very adventurous, in my view, if moon you find in your chart to be in Purva Ashadha. The first thing is your leadership style when Sun is in Purva Ashadha would be an inspiration. People would respect your risk-taking ability and, more importantly, your perspective. It's a case where you are very professor-like and at the same time possess extraordinary leadership skills. So business leaders who inspire a wave of revolution of some kind. You take an initiative and others follow. I'm referring to the creative side linked to Purva Ashadha. And whatever you fancy going after in this world, you'll make a consistent effort. You'll keep marching on, no matter the circumstances. You'll remain very optimistic of achieving your target. Your optimism can be an inspiration. With this position, think you'll struggle working with a team, like a team member. Think you'll enjoy only having a position of a leader, leading others, inspiring others, motivating others. And for that reasons, I think relations would become sour with people you are working with. If you are not in charge, you'll struggle, and your relationship with team members is going to suffer. Sun is known to eradicate diseases, so therefore you can be involved in the field of medicine, particularly to do with detoxification and purification therapies. A lot would depend on where Venus is placed. So if Venus, for example, is in the nakshatra directly linked to the healthcare sector like Punarvasu or Ashwini, your future can be in medical science. The fierce side linked to Purva Ashadha would be seen in your character. The single-mindedness, keep marching on, perhaps uncontrollably. So this passion and drive seen in your way of doing things can be an inspiration, but can also be behind your own downfall. Think the native can achieve extraordinary things in life if the native is properly guided. That's my view. Mercury in Purva Ashadha, in my view, belongs to the ones who are involved in understanding data or information, the ones involved in quantitative or qualitative research. You'll naturally have the ability to understand what is said. What does this table, this chart, this piece of article is saying? What is the crux? What is the meaning of it? The native would be intelligent and would possess this inner belief, I can solve any kind of problem, no matter how complicated the problem is. So your analytical and logical skills would be your greatest strength. Mercury signifies businesses, so the native can even be in a business linked to this nakshatra, such as the production of alcohol. The business can also be linked to production of cleaning products. Or the business itself can be linked to cleaning, a dry cleaning business, for example. So you're combining business capability with purification, distillation, extraction. The native would also make an extraordinary storyteller. We are combining Mercury with Venus, and this can lead to a career in advertising, for example. Think within the business sector, and in general, the native's thinking would be driven by an impulse, a desire to achieve extraordinary things in life. So you come across business leaders who have the strong will. They keep marching on. Their ambition is not only regional. They want to be a national player. They want to be an international player. So business ambition may keep going on and on. I'm referring to the fierce side linked to Purva Ashadha. So the native's ambitions would be difficult to control. That is also the nature of Mercury. The native may continue to grow one's business, to continue to go after one's goals in life without thinking of what one is sacrificing. Mercury is known to bestow such behavior on the native, where the native fails to consider the consequences. Like you keep growing your business whilst you are sacrificing important time with family. Altogether, I find Mercury Purva Ashadha-like individual to be very intelligent. If the native is able to control one's ambition, the native can achieve extraordinary things, particularly in the business sector. That's my view. Think when Venus is in Purva Ashadha, your creative ability is going to shine through, and your ideas are going to be very original. So much so that others might take inspiration from your creative talent. In your personal life, in love, think you'll be very passionate and may spend a few years in your 20s exploring your personal life, exploring the world of romance. So you may want to be with the one, and in pursuit of the one, you may keep feeling, no, I don't think this person is the one for me. So your idea of love would be less practical and largely be driven by romance. On a material plane too, I think you'll be very driven to achieve extraordinary things in life. Name, fame, money, etc. Venus Purva Ashadha-like person would like to live life queen size. If other planetary positions are unfavorable, your desire for materialistic pleasures can be behind lack of peace of mind. Within art, not only are your creations likely to be an inspiration, you can even be a teacher of art. Recall, Venus and Purva Ashadha belong to the same caste, and that's of a Brahmin, a teacher. And within the money sector, I think you can have a future in finance analytics. I think you'll understand market trends very well. I altogether find this position to be a strong position, as the planet finds itself in the nakshatra, ruled by itself. The only downside is going to the extreme, becoming too materialistic or searching for the perfect partner can lead to the person being on a journey all the time. The native lacks stability. The native is always chasing something. And I'm referring to the Ugra side and the Rajasic side linked to Purva Ashadha. Other than that, I think this is a strong position. A Mars Purva Ashadha-like person, I think, would be an adventure lover firstly. You'll take chances, you'll be risk inclined. This adventure seeking may not only be restricted to your interest, for example, in outdoor sports, you may also apply it in your profession or in your business. Like individuals who are always on the go, always hopping jobs, continually searching for a perfect job. In business too, the native can take chances. So on the bright side, the native would be very entrepreneurial, can be an innovator and a motivator. The major downside is lack of stability in the native's life. The native would express one's creative ability through one's technical skills, like an automobile designer can have Mars in Purva Ashadha. So you are not only designing something which is aesthetically pleasing, you're also taking into account air friction into your design. Or a graphic designer who has to not only design something which is very attractive to look at, but one also has to take into account the parameters, the sizes, the colors, etc. Graphic designers working for digital marketing firms, they know that their work is highly technical. The tools itself, Photoshop, the Illustrator, they are highly technical tools. So here, Mars Purva Ashadha, we are combining engineering or technical skills with creativity. And within the money sector, the native would have the ability to understand financial data very well. And the main downside I'm seeing here is the native being so driven by materialistic pleasures of life, the native can become unstoppable and uncompromising. So being on the go all the time, chasing something all the time, can lead to the native unnecessarily taking chances in life and risking what the native already has. This is a position which can lead to a lot of excitement in one's life. But that excitement should also come with an expiry date. That's my view of Mars in Purva Ashadha. Jupiter Purva Ashadha firstly can inspire people with one's knowledge, experience and adventures. You'd have the ability to energize people. TED Talk speakers, motivators can have Jupiter in Purva Ashadha. Think you'll be an adventure seeker. You'd like to be able to travel, experience different cultures, try different things essentially, learn from every experience, and life would present plenty of opportunity to learn from life. You can even be spiritually inclined. Earlier I'd mentioned purification of the mind, washing away of the sins. So wisdom, knowledge can help you purify your mind. Perhaps you'll be able to break free from the materialism linked to this nakshatra. You'd be able to see the futility of chasing things like money and fame, and that may happen through life experience. Initially you might be driven by things materialistic, but later you'll attach more value to knowledge and experience. If you find this related to the houses linked to foreign travel, like the 9th or the 12th house in the main or the Navamsha, under Jupiter's Antardasha in particular, you'd find yourself traveling extensively. You'll also carry an inherent and eternal optimism that you'd be able to overcome any difficulty, and what more, life may present you a second chance. One way or the other, you're likely to be a teacher and mentor to people around you. You're going to be well educated. It's a strong position. That's my view. Saturn Purva Ashadha firstly is a very strong position, as Saturn shares a strong friendship with Venus. Here we are combining Saturn's patience and technical prowess with purification, extraction, distillation. A prime example is oil and gas engineers who have to understand how oil has to be extracted, how oil has to be refined. All of it requires working out details patiently. The other example is a career in data analytics. Working out details, purifying information. This requires patience and technical skills. No matter which direction the native would take in one's life, the native would be seen as the best, a master technician. The native would be very methodical, resilient, persistent. So Purva Ashadha creates the desire to achieve something extraordinary in the world, and Saturn bestows on the native the patience, the resilience to achieve it. And the risk-taking side attached to Purva Ashadha would be much better control when Saturn is there. The native, despite being inherently optimistic, would remain practical. That is why I find this position very strong. One way or the other, I think the native would find a solution to any problem. The Ugra side linked to this nakshatra and the Rajasic side linked to this nakshatra is also going to be better controlled. So of all the planets we are going through in Purva Ashadha, I think Saturn is the strongest position, given it's a coming together of passion and caution, optimism and practicality. It's a beautiful position. Rahu Purva Ashadha firstly is a case where the native can keep marching on, keep aspiring for something, which might be the wrong thing for the native. The native might be in some delusion that by achieving this, or reaching there, or traveling there, climbing that mountain, achieving these many followers, I'd become happy. So that delusion of materialism is what the native would need to fight, and that is the first thing. So falling prey to vanity and materialism can be part of your journey, and therefore proper guidance in life would be necessary, particularly if you're going through Rahu's Antardasha. Think your ideas can be very creative and futuristic. You can be behind inventions of some kind. You'd be very inclined to take chances in life. You can be fond of adventure sports, traveling to far-off places. You may even be very inclined to take chances with your career, even your personal life. So Rahu Purva Ashadha is all about experiencing life. The major downside is you're going to go to the extreme and you do not know when to stop. Despite this position indicating lack of direction, this position can lead to a life full of adventure. So sometimes we all need to not think about the seriousness of life and we need to go with the flow. Sometimes we need to experience that. That, in my view, is the purpose behind this position. We break monotony, we break free from conventions, and we experience life. If this experience is guided properly and you have the wisdom to know when to stop, then this position can be a very exciting position. That's my view. Ketu Purva Ashadha, like individual, I believe, has the ability to see things intuitively through logical skills which others may not. Like financial analysts who can foresee market trends. The native's love for adventure can lead to the native spending a lot of time in isolation. It's reminding me of the videos where an individual has gone onto the mountain and has decided to spend the night in heavy snowfall on top of the mountain with no sight of any other human being around. You often see videos where the person has built a tent, collecting materials around the mountain, built a tent, a fireplace. That is the adventurism linked to Purva Ashadha. And the isolation is linked to Ketu. It's possibly a case where the native from one's past life has carried forward this adventurous lifestyle. The native might naturally be very creative. The native can also be involved in ancient healing methodologies linked to detoxification or purification of some kind. Unlike Rahu, where the native may continue to go after things of the world uncontrollably, a Ketu Purva Ashadha like native may find oneself detached from materialism. The native may feel inspired to explore life from a spiritual point of view. And therefore I find Ketu Purva Ashadha to be a stronger position than Rahu. Thank you for watching this video till the very end. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments section. And if you'd like to stay in touch, please subscribe to this channel. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.